welcome to Getting to Know You. We're going to do a special program today celebrating the actual midpoint of Hispanic Heritage Month that's celebrated in this country. Maybe you didn't really figure it out or understand why. You might have been reading about it, but way back in 1968, President Johnson declared it a federal observation and instructed the Smithsonian and the National Park Service to sort of be in charge of that celebration. And so then, lo and behold, in 1988, President Reagan extended it to a whole month. Now, of course, he was from California, so he knew a lot of people of Hispanic background. So we're delighted to be talking to two people today who you know very well, to give us a sense of what it means to have a heritage that would fit into this category of celebrating Hispanic heritage. I'm delighted to have Magda Caraballo with me and to have Juanita Figueroa with me. And if I ask you, now tell me who they are, I bet every single one of you could know that Magda is assistant to Mary and Juanita, you sort of keep everything going in housekeeping.
Yes, that's right.
So I think it's really interesting to think of what we're celebrating really is the independence of many of the countries in South America. That occurred in the fall. So as with most heritage stories, we see it happening here at Stonebridge a lot, that people will ask somebody, well, where are you from? And somebody might answer, Dayton, Ohio. But I think what they're really asking for is, what is your heritage? How did you get here? And what about your family? So that's what we're going to talk about to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month here at Stonebridge. So I'm going to ask each of our guests, Magda and Juanita, to tell us a little bit about their beginnings as part of this heritage look, and we'll get up to date before we know it. So Juanita, can you tell us, where are you from? When you think of where are you from?
I'm from Guatemala.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I was raised and born in Guatemala, so I was 14 years old. Then I came, my parents brought me to America when I was 14 years old.
So you still have, or did have, grandparents in Guatemala?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. And of course they're gone now, but yes, I did have grandparents.
And so where did your parents decide to go here for, I guess, opportunity?
We arrived to Princeton, New Jersey.
Right to Princeton?
Right to Princeton, because my dad used to work in a restaurant. Yes, I know, and I love Princeton. It's a beautiful, it's always been a beautiful town, you know.
And so where did you live?
I live, it's crazy, I still remember, 32 Park Place behind CVS in Princeton.
So you went to school here?
I went to Princeton High School.
Mm-hmm.
And then my teacher, Miss Hicks, taught me English. We're not allowed to speak Spanish in the class, only English. And so grateful that she did a great job for all of us to teach us English. And after this, now I'm so grateful that, where I am now. I always appreciate her, whatever she said. She did a great job. And I graduated from Princeton High School in 1995. And I'm so proud of myself that I know English is a second language.
Okay, and what was because there's so many people here who have children who went to Princeton High School. My kids were there 10, 15 years before you. But what was your name then? Was it Figueroa?
No, Orantes.
Orantes.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I think there'll be some people saying, I'm going to ask my grandchildren.
Right, yeah, Orantes, yes, I know. Yeah. Okay. Figueroa is my
Okay, we'll get back to asking you more about your Guatemalan heritage. Magda, if I ask you, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Adjuntas, Puerto Rico, which is the central mountainous region of the island. It produces a lot of coffee. My parents moved to Elizabeth, New Jersey when I was 4 months old, so I'm almost an original Elizabethan. I was raised in a Polish-Irish neighborhood. I went to parochial school, St. Patrick's, so I always wanted to be an Irish person. Notice the red hair. And I went to school in Elizabeth, grammar school, high school, and then I went to college in undergraduate school in New York.
In New York. And then how did you get back to New Jersey?
Well, at that time when I graduated, I was a teacher, and I didn't like teaching, and so I returned back to New Jersey.
I'd like to have everything under control.
Yes. And I like New Jersey.
Yeah, good.
I like New Jersey too.
I mean, I love New York, but
Yeah.
it's my home here in New
Right.
Jersey. I still live in Elizabeth, New Jersey also.
Yeah. Juanita, I remember you told me you went on vacation and that you took one of your kids or two of your
My
kids?
son,
Your
yes,
son,
yes.
Back to Guatemala.
Back to Guatemala, yes.
So what did you want him to experience?
To see, where I was born, to experience my country, and let him know that, he still have to remember they had that culture, of course, he's 50-50 because my husband is originally from Puerto Rico, raised and born in New York,
Okay.
but yeah, he's from Puerto Rico, so I just wanted to experience, explore around my country, and he loved it.
He did.
We had a great time, yes, yeah.
And you still have relatives there?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have cousins, my sister is over there, so yes.
And how about speaking Spanish?
He just was doing sign language, he understood, but he wouldn't answer back.
Yeah.
So,
So
but he got along with his cousins, so that was one thing.
That's
what, yeah, that's what.
And you,
yeah.
at home, you think he can understand Spanish,
Yes,
but he doesn't want to talk.
I think it was one time.
I think that's very common.
Right.
I hate to inject my own experience, but
Right, I know.
being a child of a German immigrant,
Right, I
it's the
know.
same thing. So, how about you? What happened in your home? Did people still speak Spanish, or did you go back to Puerto Rico to visit family?
Well, yes. In the household, it was Puerto Rican culture and the Spanish language, but outside, it was all English. So English is my first language, and Spanish is my second language. And every year, we went back to Puerto Rico for approximately about a month. So it was basically like a summer camp for me. And at that time, my relatives in the area that they lived in didn't have electricity, so I learned a lot about the culture.
Yeah.
For example, we had a washing machine here. There, we went to the river and we washed the clothes.
Yeah.
The milk at my house came in a bottle, okay, delivered.
Yeah.
And in Puerto Rico, you milk the cow. So it was very different.
Right.
And so I experienced the culture in a very different way.
Yeah, yeah. And now that you're here, did you have any connections with?
Oh, absolutely. Since I went back to Puerto Rico every year,
Yeah.
I know all my relatives. For example, on my mother's side, I have 51 first cousins. And they're all married and they have children.
Yeah.
My father was countless, siblings and
Yeah.
cousins, and I'm very connected with them, and we visit each other.
Right.
My parents lived there after they retired,
Yeah.
and they returned back here, but we still kept connected. My brother lived there,
Yeah.
and so I always travel to Puerto Rico.
So I'll ask both you and Juanita, did your family coming here see this as a land of opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. That's the reason why people.
He made your
arrived
parents made
here.
the sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it was for them also.
Yeah.
Not just for their children,
Yeah.
but coming here to Elizabeth, my parents, they really wanted us to have a very strong education, which they provided.
Right.
They
Yeah.
wanted us to have a very strong environment to grow up in.
Right.
I never lived in a Latin or Hispanic community. It was always either Irish or Polish. But we did celebrate all the traditions from Puerto Rico and also the ones here. So it's really about assimilation.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing about it, it was the assimilation, not in the household, but outside in the
Right.
public.
Right.
So growing up, I mean, I knew Halloween,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, because in Puerto Rico we celebrate
Right.
Christmas Eve, Three Kings, and then you have 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, so, apple pie, hot dogs.
Right. Well, coming from Puerto Rico, there was also that kind of flavor of how you're connected with the states, because I know, reading in the newspaper, that there are people in Puerto Rico that want to become a state, and there are other people who don't. but that relationship is different than it is really for the countries in South America.
Well, that's been going on especially since 1917. After the Spanish American
all
War.
has a long history.
Yes,
yes.
so, and that's when the Puerto Ricans became United States citizens in 1917. So fortunately, when I was in college, I had 2 minors, one in education and one in Puerto Rican studies.
Oh,
So I learned a lot about the political climate, I learned a lot about the history of Puerto Rico, so obviously that made me feel so much more connected.
yeah, yeah, that's really great. We lost Juanita to her job. When somebody calls Juanita,
It's an emergency,
she's
it's
out
now.
the door, so I'm not sure that she's actually coming back, but when she described her vacation and taking her son back, there was that yearning to know the home country.
Absolutely.
And I, again, as being a child of immigrants, I think it's something that's very common here at Stonebridge, that many people can look back on their grandparents either having to leave, which is not what many people coming from South America and Puerto Rico, they make a choice, as we see now, but then others do talk about their families seeing more opportunity and so on, and they lived in the Bronx and compare what streets they lived on and so on. So it's not unusual, but it is, I thought, really appropriate for us to think a little bit about the Hispanic heritage, because the latest census shows that about 20% of our population now comes with that kind of a background and is making great contributions here. Well, we missed the rest of Juanita, but we were going to end this program with saying we're calling it, and you'll have to tell me what it says here. I'm going to put
The other way around.
there we
Oh,
go.
conociéndote,
Okay,
which means understanding and getting to know each other.
so there it goes in Spanish. That's what you're going to see on the title when you see the ad in the Live Well Bulletin. And so in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, Getting to Know You is adopting that as a separate name for us. So
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Magda, for being with us, and I will thank Juanita when she gets finished doing whatever emergency she has to pay
And
attention to.
thank you so much for setting this up.
Well,
And
and I
having us.
think actually today, the day that we are taping this, there is going to be a flamenco dancing.
That's correct, yeah.
So, and I guess that would be from Argentina. Brazil is Portuguese, but
That's
Argentina,
right.
I think that's in, okay.
Well, the flamenco, yes, I think these individuals are from Spain.
From Spain and
Yes,
South,
uh-huh,
okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
with
very
us
much.
and taking the time. We did this early in the morning.
Yes,
so-
I appreciate it.
Okay, and do listen in again, but we're so happy to be thinking about Hispanic Heritage Month, which is important to our country and important here at Stonebridge too. Thank you.